Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's shiur. Thank you again to Jonah Hari and for Meg Yabai for arranging this shiur. I'd like to dedicate tonight's shiur. And also tonight, 1 second, remember we have a askara for Rabbi Nissim ben Sada Uzana. That is also the tonight is his your site. רוח השם תניחנו בגן עדן ותהיה נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים. I also like to dedicate shiur רפואה שלמה for all Am Yisrael, and especially for Gabriel Adon בת לאה מלכה, אלישבע בת שבע ובת רבקה, אמרתי כבר ז'ני בת רוזט, and Claudine בת חנה רוחמה, which I had good news from her this week. Baruch Hashem, there's good רפואה שלמה. For the past few months, we've been dedicating the shiur for רפואה, and I had very good news this week. Good results coming back. So B'ezras Hashem continues for רפואה שלמה. Tonight shiur we're studying parashat
Tazria.
Tazria Metzora we have in Israel. We have also Tazria Metzora?
Yeah, of course. I don't know.
Yes.
It is? Okay, very good. Because I prepared tonight's shiur on Metzora, Beikar Metzora. There is sometimes a slight discrepancy between Israel and Chutz La'aretz with Parashat Shavua, regarding depending on second day Yom Tov. If second day Yom Tov falls in the Shabbat, then in Chutz La'aretz they read the parasha for the Chag, and where in Eretz Yisrael they read the Parashat Shavua, so it comes out with 1 week difference, and then we catch up again in a double week. Okay, Metzora. What is Metzora about? What is a parashat of Metzora? What is a Metzora? Somebody who gets tzarat is called a Metzora. Tzarat is loosely translated as a leprosy, but it's maybe a physical, mystical, or supernatural illness. It's like a miraculous illness which somebody gets from the Torah for certain averot. Mainly, the main one is
Lashon Hara.
For Lashon Hara. Thank you. The Gemara says that the tzarat comes from Lashon Hara.
There is a list, but there is a list of...
There is a list, very good. The main one is Lashon Hara. There's a Gemara in Erechin. Kol ha'mesaper Lashon Hara naga'im ba'im alav. A nega is an affliction which is specifically regarding to tzarat. Okay? Now this is difficult for always rabbi to speak about, because nowadays we don't have a nega tzarat. It doesn't exist nowadays. But like I always say in the shiur, our Torah is eternal. There's no sell-by date. There's no expiry date on the Torah. So it's relevant nowadays, even though we don't have tzarat. What is the reason for that we don't have tzarat? So there's a few reasons. I saw one given by the Rav Chida from Chofetz Chaim. The Rav Chida says that it's a result of a spiritual contamination. That you see the effects. The tzarat can leprosy. There's a few different forms. It can be either on the body, or on the clothes, or on the wall of the house. Okay. He says because we are now so spiritually contaminated that you don't even see the effects of it. We're just like all too much. We don't even difference. That's why we're always speaking Lashon Hara. It's like you make up on yourself for 1 hour not to speak Lashon Hara. Okay, you're already in the league of the tzaddikim, because we're in passing. We don't even realize it. It's not subconscious of it. That's the Rav Chida. But the Chafetz Chaim says that on our level, we're not level to merit to see the miracles of Lashon Hara. You see someone just talk something, he has a nigga on his house. He does teshuvah, it goes away. Why should you merit to see it? However, says the Chafetz Chaim, we do have today parnasa. Maybe we'll get back to that at the end of the shiur. But more directly, I want to maybe study the actual parasha, text of the parasha, and ask a few questions, and then just to realize from that the concepts that we can take from studying the passage of the Torah of Tzarat. Even if we don't have Tzarat relevant nowadays, there's many lessons, important ones, that are definitely relevant to us today. So with that introduction, I'm going to get all excited for the shiur. maybe start off with Chodesh Iyar. We just started this month, Rosh Chodesh Iyar. What's important about Rosh Chodesh Iyar? The month of Iyar, maybe. Let's say month of Iyar. What's special about month of Iyar?
זה חודש הרפואות.
חודש הרפואות. Very good, Gilad. א' י' ריש is ראשי תיבות אני השם רופאך. There are a lot of good things that we see in this month, especially Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which were the Lag BaOmer, which is the end of all the deaths of the plague of the children, the Talmidim, the students of Rabbi Akiva. They ended in this month. It ended on the end of the month of Lag BaOmer. So Ani Hashem Rofecha. So also got to do with this illness of also tzarat.
Leprosy.
Yeah, but it's a spiritual type of leprosy. It's not like leprosy that we have nowadays. You treat it. There's no known treatment. The only treatment for tzarat is teshuvah. Okay. Also my birthday in the month of Iyar.
Hey, Zato.
Yeah, not yet. Okay. So let's study the parasha. And what happens to the tzarat? See, first he has a nega. And then he has to call a kohen. So it's very mysteriously. Zot tiyeh Torat HaMetzorah b'yom taharato. The day he becomes pure. Metzorah. Let me get this right. Metzorah is the Hebrew term for somebody who is has tzarat. Metzorah. And I saw the Hasidish Sfarim say Metzorah from the word motzi ra. He brings out bad from his mouth because he spoke badly. That's why he gets the term of Metzorah. And what's the process? He identifies it. First, he sees it on his wall. So he covers it up with a picture. He sees it on his clothes. He puts up a jacket, to cover the stain. He gets it on his skin. He covers it up. But he needs to go to a kohen to identify the nega. This piece of tzarat. Okay. Now, first question is, why would you need a kohen? Now, it would make sense. You need some kind of a qualified person to identify if it's really tzarat, or maybe it's a different stain, maybe it's something from something else.
But it's a question of tum'ah and tahara. It's not a medical question, right? So as it's a question of tum'ah,
it doesn't matter. You would still need an expert to clarify it. Whatever field it is, someone needs to identify and classify that is tameh. So in order to study it, you have to study the laws of negaim, laws of tahara. So you need an expert rabbi or some kind of expert to identify it. Now, what the interesting fact is that the Torah tells us the only person qualified is a kohen. Now, even if the kohen doesn't know any halachot, he has to bring a rabbi with him. Not any rabbi, someone who's expert in halachot of tzarat. The rabbi has to identify, tell him if it's tahor or tameh. And that's not good enough. The rabbi is not good enough. You need the actual kohen to say, this is tameh, or this is tahor. Very unusual. Kohen on his own is not good enough, unless the kohen himself is a qualified Talmid Chacham. But if the Talmid Chacham himself is not good enough, you have to have a kohen. And if a kohen doesn't know, he needs a Talmid Chacham. So the bottom line is, has to be signed and sealed, stamped by the kohen. So the question number one in the shiur is, what's the question?
Where is it tahor or tameh?
No, the question is, why would you need the kohen? If the kohen anyone needs to have the expert. So just have the expert. The kohen doesn't know anything. Yeah, it could be a little 13-year-old boy who's a kohen, doesn't know anything about tzarat. Yeah, you bring it around. Okay, he tells you, yeah, this is time. Why is that the kohen? What was the significance?
You said if it's a spiritual disease.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, this kohen has high spirituality.
Well, definitely. Yeah.
So therefore, there's more. They can identify. There's more chance of them identifying it, regardless of whether they bring a rabbi or not.
Okay, but okay. I will accept that. But let's look at the source in the pasuk. Pasuk says, "V'tameh tameh yikra," that the kohen, he has to call it. He's the one who does the final work. I see. Is that Edmund? Is that Ehud joined us in the shiur? I think that's Ehud with us. Edmund E. Amir. So welcome to Ehud. So the kohen that comes along. Sorry? Oh, thank you for joining us, Teod. So we're talking about the tzarat. So that's first question one. Why would you need a Kohen? Then the Torah tells us, after it's identified, what does he do? He goes into seclusion. He goes into seclusion, Badad Yeshev. He sits alone. Pasuk says, Kol yemei asher anaga bo. Maybe just before that. Go ahead. The Kohen classifies him Tameh. And then Pasuk says, you seclude him and see if the nega goes away. If it doesn't go away, he comes back again. Uba Kohen v'ra'ah. And the Kohen sees, v'hinei pasa nega, if the leprosy has grown, the tzarat is grown, that's a sign of his tumah. V'oti el hamakom chutz le'ir, takes him out of the city. He's completely excommunicated, living outside everyone. El makom hatameh, v'abal habayit kol yemei yizgir oto b'tameh. 1 second. I lost 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. Ish tzarua hu tameu, the one who's tameh, yitamenu hakohen b'rosho nigo. The Kohen is one who classifies him as tameh. V'tzarua asher bo hanega, this man who is plagued by the leprosy, b'gadav yu poromim. His clothes are ripped. V'rosho yeh parua. His hair needs to grow. V'al safam ya'ateh. And his mustache grows and covers his lips. Yitameh tamehu, betameh tameh yikra. Now, what does that remind you of? Ripping clothes, growing hair.
Oh, he's like dead. He's like shakul emet.
Not like dead.
Like
No,
avel.
you're right. Tzarat is נחשב כמת.
No, אבל הוא שקול, זה כמו אבל. Yeah.
Kavel, exactly. Mona. Who said Mona?
Joe.
Exactly. Good on Joe. And also Gidlad is right. They says Tzarat is נחשב Matzorah is נחשב כמת. There are 4 people who are considered like dead, נחשב כמת. Which are the 4?
A sleeping person.
You're right in some terms, but the Gemara says that 4 נחשבים
יש
כמת.
לך עיוור, עני, מצורע.
Yes, Iver is a blind
וזה שאין לו
person.
ילדים.
Yeah, someone who's poor, someone who's blind, somebody who doesn't have children, and someone who's leprosy. Those are the 4. Those are the 4 written by the Gemara. What Joe said, someone sleeping, is right, because one of the things we say mechayem etim when we wake up in the morning, because once death is like sleep.
60th.
Thank you, 1/60th of death. But here the Gemara says, okay, so question is why is a leprosy considered someone who's dead? What is a leprosy? Leprosy is you've got a dot, okay, on your hand, okay? Someone who has a pimple, okay, maybe if you're a teenager, you feel bad, you cover it up, you're embarrassed, you don't want to go in public. But once you get a bit older, you live with it and you go on with life, especially if the tzarat is under the clothes, you can just cover up, you can have a normal life. So I can understand maybe a poor person means somebody who was rich or who was stable and then he lost his wealth. That's somebody who's ani. Or somebody who's blind, can't see, somebody who doesn't have children, doesn't have any continuation. Okay, maybe you can understand why that's נחשב כמת.
Is it contagious?
But someone who has a rash, that is considered
But it's not contagious. It's not contagious, right?
It's not a disease which is contagious because it's a spiritual disease which is only given for a person as a sign for him to do teshuvah. So the contagiousness of it is only if somebody else has.
But you can obviously argue that it's midah keneged midah.
Of course.
Because Lashon Hara, the damage that you do, so that's the midah you get back.
Exactly. So that's going to be tonight's shiur. What is this midah keneged midah? But first question, if this is the second question I'm asking tonight, is why is it נחשב כמת? You can have a nice day, go to work in the morning, go to the gym, go to the restaurant, and have a nice full day. You can go to synagogue. So why is he over here נחשב כמת? Let's try and understand that even after you send him out. Let's try and understand why that is נחשב כמת. Okay. Next point. Tameh yikra. He is considered tameh and he's declared tameh. The Kohen declares him tameh. I hereby declare you tameh. Rashi says on this pasuk that he tells everyone that he's tameh. Why? And they separate from him. Listen, I'm tameh, stay away from me. But the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, Daf Samech Zayin Amud Aleph, says another reason. Very interesting. He has to tell other people, listen, I'm positive. I did the test, the Kohen said, and I'm tameh. Why? That when you tell people about the illness, then they will ask for him rachamim, they'll pray for him. So we want people to pray for this person who did Lashon Hara, or he did he's got suffering and his illness, and he's got this tzarat, leprosy, and we want him to be cured. Now the question is, I'm going to ask you, Rabotai, somebody is ill. What's the approach? He needs to tell people that he's ill. Yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable. You don't really want people to tell people that he's ill, and people pray for them, or maybe should pray for them. What is
Depends what the illness is.
Absolutely, that does depend. So I'm going to introduce you. From here, the Torah, it seems a person should publicize that and have people pray for him. Agree?
Yeah.
Pasuk says in Tehillim, Hatzileni me'oivai, says David HaMelech, save me from my enemies. Hashem, elecha chisiti, I turn to you and you are going to look after me. Rashi says on the Pasuk in Tehillim, Tiluati ani mechaseh mikol adam. I don't tell anybody about my illness, only you. Lagidam elecha. Hashem elecha chisiti. I turn to you, my God. I'm not telling anyone about my illness, about my difficulties, about my troubles, about my enemies. I only turn to God. Now here you see, David HaMelech is not going like with the Pasuk. David saying, I'm only trusting in Hashem, I pray to you, you're going to save me. Pasuk says he should tell everyone and all his friends that they should all pray for him. So the question is, when do we say a person should pray for himself? When should other people pray for him and should tell others about his difficulties or illnesses?
For sure, if he's ill, others should pray for him.
Yeah, but we see David HaMelech, even when he was ill, he turned to Hashem and he said, I'm not telling anyone, only telling you. So obviously, it seems sometimes you need to be like David HaMelech. Well, that's what we see from Tehillim. So that's question number 3. You're holding with me?
Yeah.
No, good questions tonight, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next part. Pasuk says, Va'abeged, kol yimei asher hanega bo, all his days of his life, of when he has this illness, bo yitameh. Tameh, he is impure. Badad yeshev. What does it mean, badad?
Alone person.
Badad yeshev, that means he has to sit alone. Mechutz lamachane, outside the camp, moshavo. Badad is in solitude, in confinement, quarantined, outside. It says Rashi, not only has to be on his own, even other ill people, not allowed to sit with him.
Who is this? Who has to sit with him?
This metzorah, one who has tzarat, leprosy. Now, there's different types of tumah. Somebody touches a dead body, somebody comes into any kind of contact with something tameh, he becomes tameh. But this tameh is not allowed to be with anyone else, even other people who are tameh. Right? Even people who are suffering from COVID, they can all be together in one little hotel or little family together. This person who spoke Lashon Hara has to be on his own, separate from nobody. Why? Rashi says, quotes the Gemara in Erechim Daf Tet Zayin Amud Bet. Ma nishtana mishar tmeim lishev badad. Hoil v'hu yivdil b'Lashon Hara ben ish le'ishto ben ish le're'eu hu yibadel. He spoke Lashon Hara separated between friends, separated between man and wife. He's got to say on his own. So this question, I heard this part of this year, this main part of the share is from Rav Yochanan's wife, and he said this question of why do you separate between man and his wife? I mean, somebody speaking Lashon Hara, last person he's going to speak to is about his wife. You don't tell a husband, I want to tell you Lashon Hara about your wife. That's not how you do it. Yeah, you speak to somebody who's your acquaintance. You speak Lashon Hara, and then why is it he doesn't separate between man and wife? Someone tells you something about your wife, you knock him over the head. Yeah, what are you talking about my wife like that? You don't talk about my brother like that. You don't talk about my cousin like that. So here, Rashi tells us, listen, he's separating between man and his wife, between a man and his friend. They usually don't speak to somebody about their best friend. You're always going to stick up for your best friend. You're not going to take any Lashon Hara on that. So here needs a little bit of explanation in Rashi. Okay, so that's question number 4. Okay, question number 5. I think that's really good now. Okay, so let's summarize the questions. I've written down in different order. Question number 1 we said was.
Why does a Kohen have to?
Thank you, Joe. Why does it have to be a Kohen who has to announce it? Why can't it be a Chacham or someone who's an expert in Nagan? Question number 2. I don't remember the order we said in. Does anyone remember?
The man with the white, anything to do with the man who grows his hair.
Yes. So we said, why does it have to be a sign of Avelut? Why is he a sign of Avelut? Then we said, why is he considered like a dead person? Question number 3. We said, why? Why does he have to be outside on his own? Because he separated between a man and wife, but he didn't speak about man and wife. And also, why does he have to be outside, not be with anyone else? Oh, and why about praying for himself? Does he need to pray for himself, or other people should pray for him? So let's just summarize that again clearly. Why does it need to be a Kohen?
So we know from Aaron and Miriam that Aaron actually prayed for Miriam, but
yes, and Moshe.
Yeah, but the fact that Aaron was safe because he prayed for Miriam, we know.
Aaron a Kohen.
Aaron.
Yeah.
So it means that he is allowed to, or maybe just because he was a Kohen, but I'm not sure. But I don't know.
I'm not sure what your question is. You want to ask a question?
No, it's not a question. I'm just answering. I think I'm suggesting an idea.
You're suggesting why it needs to be a Kohen?
No, why if he's allowed, if someone else is allowed to pray for them. So
yeah,
we know.
No, but the question is, should someone else be praying for them, or should a person pray for himself? No, there's something else. I've got a cold. Do I need to tell my family, listen, pray for me, I'm not feeling well? Or I should just pray for myself? When should we say a person pray for himself? When should he involve other people? Why is it an avelut? Okay. Why is a person considered like a tzarat, considered like a dead person? Okay, so the Gemara says, Sefer HaYetzirah. Sefer HaYetzirah says that the word nega, spelled nun gimel ayin, nega, is the same letters, which is interchangeable with the word oneg. Okay, oneg is pleasure. Nega is disease, right? It's uncomfortable, displeasure. And those are the same interchangeable words as oneg, pleasure. So, how do we understand that? And what's it got to do with kol ha-mesaper lashon hara nega'im ba'im alav? So let's talk about this for a second, okay? What is a nega? A person who's got a weakness, okay? Let's say a shortcoming. And let's say we all have our, let's say,
Achilles heels.
Yeah, Achilles heels, but also we all have our chisronot. Deficiencies. Okay, yeah, but we all have our faults.
Weakness.
That's what it is. Yeah, we all have our faults in different areas. Okay, we're all human. We're all friends. Okay, especially here on this shiur, we're all friends, and we all have our weaknesses. And as a person can use his weakness as a source for growth. Now, a lot of people, They take that weakness, right? And they say, listen, I can deal with this. There's maybe some things which I'm not good at, but there's a lot of things that I am good at. And then maybe I can improve on that. And you see, people brought out the best in themselves from their weaknesses, right? From their faults. They didn't look at that. A person who focuses on all his just faults or weaknesses, right? It's complex, he's inferior, but that can break him. If you just focus on what he's missing, what he's lacking, what his faults are, he doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't have any power to believe in himself. Okay? Now let's think about the poor man. Right? A person who was once, he was stable with income, and then he fell and he lost, and he had to sell, and he's become now homeless, and he's good down. Now how does he feel by himself? So if he picks up himself and says, okay, listen, I can do it. I can still make a living. Okay, I've lost one way of making a living, but, I can do something. I can study a course, or maybe, I'll invest. I can buy, I can sell. I can work hard. I'll wake up early. I'll stay up late. I can still do it. Then he's not focused on his weakness. He can come up. But the person who stays pure, the person doesn't believe in himself. He said, look at me. I just failed. I can't make money. I can't do this. I'm poor. He's lost all his self-identity, self-confidence. How the person going to feel? It's going to feel like he's dead. He said, I need help. No one can help me. I'm not good on my own. I'm not able to sustain myself. I need other people to help me. But a blind man is insufficient on his own. He can't help himself. He needs other people to show him the way. So I need literally people to hold my hand. How is he going to feel about himself? I can't even go to the toilet. I can't get a drink. I can't even eat my own food. I need someone to feed me because I can't see what I'm. How's that person going to feel? Inferior and pure. He doesn't feel like, doesn't have his own self-confidence. He can do something. This is a new insight. I'm just saying this is not a normal way of understanding it, but this is what he said in the shir, and I like this. I want to share it with you. He said somebody who becomes a father, okay? Baruch Hashem, all fathers here. How does a father feel when he has a son? Now I remember, I'll share with you the feeling. I remember this. I felt very important. Like I am someone's dad. I am the dad. That's me. You feel that chashivut, that I'm somebody important. You don't have children. Who are you? Nothing. You don't have that self-identification of being somebody proud, being there some for somebody. The hardest relationship that we have, it's not with other people. It's not the relationship with our wives or our children or friends. That's easy. The hardest relationship a person has is with himself.
Yeah.
A person with himself, he can be confused. What happens is you have to come to terms with yourself. So I'm not a bad person. I have my faults. I have my deficiencies. I'm not perfect, but I'm still a good person. You can forgive yourself and move on. If you're not focused on that. He said a person doesn't successful, he's not forgive himself. He's separated from himself. He doesn't believe in himself. He can't succeed. Now, if you consider that as a person is considered dead, let's consider, but what is a person who speaks Lashon Hara? What happens? A person speaks about somebody, listen, he did this terrible thing, okay? He stole, he's the ganab, he's the one who's had an affair. Now he's labeled him. Now it could be the guy does a lot of good things, okay? Maybe, he helps people, he volunteers, he works for Hatzalah, he does charity, he has guests in his house, he studies Torah. He's a good person. Now he found that one thing, I don't know why, he stole something, okay? Now the person spoke Lashon Hara about him, he's labeled him. That's him. He's the thief. He's the guy. And he walks into synagogue, everyone points at him, he's the guy who had an affair. Now once you've labeled him like that, and that's the image, what's the image he's going to have of himself?
Embarrassment,
but even more than that, it's inferior. He's going to feel like, listen, I've lost, I doesn't believe in himself anymore. That's what he's labeled me as. I am the guy. I'm the bad guy. Okay, now I'm getting it a bit extreme, but if you take it another by extension, a person that feels like that, it's going to have the effect when he comes home, when he comes to be with his friends, he's going to separate from himself. That's going to affect with him on his wife, because he's only going to be focused on what I'm missing. Well, you can't feel like that. Focus on what you're missing. You're going to be focused on what you're good at. Build on your strengths. Okay, I'm not going to maybe 10 things I'm not good at, but I have a few things which I'm good at. Also, when you have children, maybe I've mentioned this before. How do you get somebody to be good?
Bribe them.
Right. Okay, that is definitely technique. But let's say if you have a kid and he's not good in maths. Okay, so let's say he's good in history. He likes history. He doesn't like maths. So what do? You get him in private lesson in
Maths.
In maths. Makes sense, right? So the professional said that's not how it works. No, he said you get him a private lesson in history because he loves history. He's going to enjoy it. He's going to be good at it. Once he's good at that, after his history lesson, he's going to be in such a good mood. He comes to the maths lesson, he's still in a good mood. He's rocking. He's going to go up with it. He said, don't make him focus on what he's bad at. He's bad at maths. He's not going to like it. He's not going to enjoy the lesson. He's just going to feel terrible at maths. No, I said, do what he's good at. He's good at football. Take him to the football. All right. Count how many goals. Count how many players. How many teams you're going to need. Make him do maths with the football. Yeah. Take him what he's good at, make him improve on that and build on that. That's how a person builds on himself. When he's focused on the bad, on the nega, you can't get out of it. A person can be obsessed with that. If he just believes on his faults and that's how he identifies him and that's how he labels himself, he's he is lost all faith in himself.
Kal v'chomer, if it's untrue. So
okay, so very good. Let's just put this down now. Let's just put this on the table. Lashon Hara is true. Okay? Arechilut is not true.
Wait, sorry, Lashon Hara is only Lashon Hara if the topic that the person is talking about the other person is true?
If the fact is true, yeah. I saw him going into McDonald's and having a burger. Okay?
But that's got to be true.
And and that is true. He actually did go, he really did.
So I assume.
And why is that Lashon Hara? Why is that Lashon Hara? It's true. He did it. Why is that Lashon Hara? Because
the act was bad.
The act was bad, but it was true. The fact, why is it Lashon Hara? Why am I not allowed to say it? Because I can't label a person by the one act that he did badly. That doesn't label a person. He's not identified by that. You've got to see the whole person. You don't know why. What made him do that? You don't know what situation he's in. Maybe when you were in his shoes, you do much worse. You can't judge people like that. Here we're judging that. That's not what we're judging. Okay, so now if we're going back to our topic now, what is the punishment of somebody who speaks Lashon Hara?
Leprosy.
Leprosy. That's a sign. He gets labeled. I am now labeled as the guy who spoke Lashon Hara. I spoke Lashon Hara about somebody else. I judged him. I labeled him. Now I'm being judged. I'm calling this Kohen and he's going to judge me. He's going to label me. I'm going to get to feel that. But all the way. What's he going to do? He has to focus on his tzarat. I'm focused on you, on that one spot on your body that is leprosy, and I'm labeling you tameh. All your body is fine. You've got like 2 white hairs, and that's it. No, tameh. That's what you did. And then, what does he do? He has sign of avilut. He rips the clothes, grows his hair. Why is avilut? Because who's he just killed?
If he's been convicted tameh, he has to grow his hair into as well.
Yeah. For a period, until he becomes pure. Until he does teshuvah, then is a purification process. Then he shaves all his hair, does tevilah mikveh, and brings a korban. All of that is for the teshuvah. However, look at this analogy. You see now how it goes together. He feels like avilut on himself, okay, until he does teshuvah, and when he does teshuvah, he's like being born again. Like it's a rebirth for him. That's why he needs to bring a kohen. Why? Because the Kohen is the one who needs to identify him. And he needs to label him as somebody who's tameh. Now let's just think about this a little bit, yeah? when he goes out and he's separated, we've answered them basically the questions. Okay, we explained why Metzora is nechshav kemet. We explained why the avelut. We explained why he needed Kohen to label him. And we explained why that's separated between man and wife, because you've made him feel bad, you've made him feel inferior. He doesn't have any self-confidence, and that has effect on all his relationships. So now he has to go out of the camp, be punished, be on his own, and think about that until he does teshuvah. Now, what about praying? Who needs to pray for him? We said that he needs to have everyone pray for him. He needs to announce it. Rabbim should pray. So I remember also always in yeshiva, my rabbis used to teach us. He says in the beginning of a person, when he's not well, he should just pray for himself. Don't tell anyone. In the first 3 days. First 3 days, pray for yourself. Most things go away after 3 days. Don't need to tell everyone, listen, I have a toothache, I can't sleep all night. Yeah, or I got a terrible headache. Okay, you got a headache, be quiet, take a pill. You don't have to announce it to the world, right? The way of the world is the opposite. If it's something small, you tell everyone, yeah? If it's something big, you keep it quiet. That's not how it goes. If it's something small, keep it quiet for the first 3 days. If it goes away, good. If it doesn't go away, then tell close friends, tell family, tell people who care about you. Because the people who care about you, they will pray for you. But initially, you should pray for yourself. The strongest prayers is the person prays for himself. That is the strongest prayers. Next strongest is a parent prays for their child. And after that is a tzaddik. Tzaddik's prayer is not as strong as your own prayer or as a mother's prayer. The only reason why we go to tzaddikim to pray for us, why? So the Chafetz Chaim said because we look after tzaddikim. They're careful more with their mouths. So their mouth is cleaner to pray. But in the power of prayer, if we would just be quiet and not speak badly and speak Lashon Hara, we would have the similar powers of prayer, and our prayer for ourselves is much stronger. Because you pray for yourself much more. You care more about yourself. So here, David HaMelech says, I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm only going to tell Hashem, and I'm only going to pray to Hashem. But this person, he needs to humble himself. He needs to go and rely on other people. Like we said, a blind man needs other people, and a poor man needs other people. This person also needs other people and needs to humble himself and ask other people to pray for him. Now, very interesting observation. He said, why would he need to go to Kohen and not a Chacham? Anyway, you need both, right? So scratch the Kohen, just go to the Chacham, go to the expert. Are you qualified in Tzara'at, Negaim? Please identify it. You went to the school of Negaim. Why do you need the Kohen? So let's again, who was the first Kohen? Aaron HaKohen. What was the Midah shel Aaron HaKohen?
Ohev Shalom.
Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. Ohev et habriot u'mekarban haTorah. And what's the bracha of Birkat Kohanim? Shem lecha.
Shalom, yeah.
Shalom. That is the bracha of the Kohanim. Essentially, that's Shalom. Why? Because Shalom, that's machzik bracha for everything. You have Shalom, you see, you have everything. You see brothers or business partners, they have Shalom, they're successful. That's the biggest bracha in everything. Shalom. Parnasa, Briut, everything, Shalom. That's the bracha of the Kohen gives. So now, how does a Kohen, Aaron HaKohen, make Shalom? Now the Mishnah says it. It tells us the secret. Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. Ohev et habriot. You've got to love people. If you want to make Shalom, you got to love people. Now, how do you love somebody? If we say we all have faults, okay? We all have our shortcomings, our weaknesses. So how do you love somebody?
By accepting their flaws.
The same flaws, or even more than that. What do you say? You say love is blind. What does that mean, love is blind?
That you don't see their weaknesses.
You don't see their weaknesses. You love your son, right? Even though your son has weaknesses, you don't look at the weaknesses. What do you see? You see all the good things about him, how cute he is, how he looks like you, he makes funny faces. You love all the good things about him, and you don't even see the faults. That's what it means, love is blind. And when you look at somebody's good points, the positive parts, that's what makes you love them. That's what makes us all friends. We all look at the good things at each other. You stick up for your friend because you remember all the good things about him, what he's done for you, see the good qualities. Even if he falls, if he's done something bad, you don't judge him for that because you know all his good qualities are. He says that is the strengths. When a Kohen, shalom, doesn't mean only peace. It means also shalom means from the word shalem. What's shalem?
Complete.
Complete, right? What's complete? To love somebody, you look at a complete picture. You don't look at just their faults. Okay, maybe they have a few faults, but all the good things about them, that's the whole picture. That's the complete picture. So why is it the Kohen that comes? Because first of all, it's only the Kohen that can judge you. Because even though he look at one nega, he's not going to label you for that. Because he's going to look at the complete picture. And no, this is only one fault about you. So he's not going to judge you to that extent. But the second fault is that you're supposed to learn from the Kohen. I'm learning from the Kohen to look at the big picture. I'm learning from the Kohen that I'm not judging a person by their faults. I'm looking at the whole picture about them. And that's what makes me love them. And once I love them, I can bring peace with them. And that's the idea over here. Think about the Kohen. What is a Kohen? He is like maybe the biggest misken in Am Yisrael in a way. Why? Why is a Kohen a misken in a way? Where does a Kohen live?
What do you mean?
Where does a Kohen live? What does a Kohen work for? What's his job?
When he's on duty?
When he's on duty, yeah.
So as a Goel Moed or Beit HaMikdash, that
He has
depends.
to work in the Beit HaMikdash. Okay, and who pays for him? How does he make a living? How does he pay his rent? His house? So the way the Torah works is that all of Am Yisrael, they have Nachala in Eretz Yisrael apart from the Kohen. Which means everyone gets a house.
But they get the part outside of the city.
Yeah. They have a place where they live, but they don't have a Nachala like all others. There's different cities of Kohanim, but they don't have a Nachala. It's not like they sell properties, they can't work in property, they can't do that. They don't have their own Nachala. They don't have their own inheritance in the land of Israel. But what the Jews do? How do they live? They live off their matnot kehuna, the masor, the pidyon haben, what you give to the Kohen, all the different matanot that there's 24 different matanot they give to Kohen from the korbanot. So really, what does he feel like? He's like, listen, I'm a skin. Everyone needs to now pay for my living, pay for my fire. Okay. So why does he not feel inferior? Why does he feel like the poor man? He's the guy who's taking tzedakah from everybody. How should he be feeling? He doesn't feel inferior. When the Kohen comes, he realizes I'm providing a service. Or maybe I'm taking my sort and I'm taking from your korban. But what am I doing for you? What am I giving you? The Kohen feels that I am giving to the public much more than I'm receiving from the public. I'm a public servant. It's like a government service. Doesn't feel bad. Doesn't feel like I'm taking charity from the people. So no, I'm working for the people. I'm in a service. I'm serving Am Yisrael. I'm working in the corner. I'm at the making mission. I'm able to give. So the person who feels like he's giving, that's the bigger picture. Of course, he's going to feel alive. He doesn't feel like he's living off other people. He feels like he's giving, and that's the picture of the Kohen. That he's the one who's giving. Now, let's talk about the oneg and nega. Why did the Sefer Yisrael say that the word oneg is the same as nega? What does it mean that they're interchangeable? Exactly the same letters. What's the difference? And where the letter ayin is. Is the ayin in the beginning, oneg, or is the ayin at the end? If the ayin is at the beginning, you see the whole picture. If the ayin is at the end, it's a nega. Now let's think about this for 1 second, okay? Have you spoken to somebody who's depressed? Have you spoken to someone who's depressed? Oh, life's terrible. What do you mean life is terrible? You're married, right? Yeah. You're young? Yeah. You have partners? You're not ill? Yeah. Okay, what's your problem? No, I got a problem. Yeah. Okay, you got one problem? Yeah, but he's focusing, all his focus is on one thing. He can't see nothing. Can't see the light of day, can't see anything. All he's just feeling is just his problems. He's focused his eyes on the nega. He's obsessed with it. He can't enjoy anything. Everything becomes a nega. Because he's looking at the one thing that he's missing. But what's the oneg? When you take out that, look at the bigger picture. Don't look at the one small thing. Put the ayin in the beginning. Look at everything. How much things could be worse. Look on the bright side. Look at the good things. Why do you mean look at the good things? Because you look at the bigger picture, that's how you do teshuvah. Don't look at yourself. Come out. Look at the positive. And then you can enjoy everything. Nega is oneg. And I remember when in the COVID, I lost my sense of smell. Okay, for one day. But I was in a panic. I was like, what do you mean I can't smell anymore? I was like taking coffee, lemon. I was like trying to smell things. Nothing. I couldn't smell anything. And I almost began to cry. I was like, I can't smell anymore. And I said to myself, Netanel, I didn't appreciate the sense of smell. Yeah. And I promised myself, when B'ezrat Hashem, my smell comes back, I'm going to appreciate it more. I'm going to make a baracha besamim with more simcha. I'm going to enjoy the pleasure that Kodesh Baruch Hu gave me to smell. When you're eating your food, you can smell your nana and your tea. It's a pleasure. How can you enjoy that? Only if you don't focus on the nega, on the one thing that you're missing. You look at all the good things that you can enjoy. The Torah tells us, "V'karata l'Shabbat oneg." You've got to call Shabbat oneg. What does it mean, call it oneg? How can you enjoy Shabbat? So you speak to somebody who doesn't understand what's Shabbat. I'm not allowed to play a computer. I'm not allowed to play on my phone. I can't drive. It's a nega. I can't enjoy. I don't look forward to Shabbat. You speak to somebody else. Shabbat. I can't wait for Shabbat. From Sunday, the whole week, I'm just looking forward to the day of Shabbat. Shabbat is the day I enjoy. I can pleasure. I'm with my family. I'm at home. I don't think about the office. I don't think about the work. I don't think about my studies. Shabbat is en nishtabach Shem Moshe. Shabbat is an oneg for him. How do you become oneg? No. Whereas you look at it, don't look at the one thing that you can't do. Okay, I can't touch my phone. Okay. So many things I can do. Everything I think. And you see this even like with even disabled people. You see that how they're happy. Yeah, you're disabled. Okay. I can't do a lot of things, but there's so many things I can do. And that's to get out of the obsession of the name. Maybe I'll show you another idea about Lashon Hara. It says the Gemara in Erechim, Al kol ha-mesaper Lashon Hara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra. Anyone who speaks Lashon Hara, ki'ilu kafar ba'ikar. What does it mean, kafar ba'ikar? What does that mean? Kafar ba'ikar. Is a?
Oh, it's like it's כמו אפיקורס, זה כמו מישהו שהוא...
It's a heretic. It means it doesn't believe in God. That's a kofar ba'ikar. God does not exist. Now, how do you get from one guy, he's saying bad about him in synagogue, but what he did, okay, that's your Lashon Hara.
Because it's simple.
And that's kofar ba'ikar. The God doesn't exist. It's a bit dramatic, yeah?
No. And I will tell you why. Because when someone says Lashon Hara, he puts himself in the place of God because he's doing midat hadin. He's not only the judge but the executor as well. So that's why it's also. So
you say you're taking place of God. You're taking place of God.
What is the Lashon Hara? It's not only that you shofet, you do midat hadin without seeing the full picture, but you're also executing because you're punishing as well.
Right. So you say you're taking God's place. So in that way you're kafar ba'ikar. A very nice idea. I like the idea. Thank you, Gilad. You're saying you're taking place of God when you're judging somebody and executing them. Very nice. Very nice. I wanted to share with you a different idea from the Ben Ish Chai. But also a nice idea. Please listen to this idea. He asked another question. He says, והיה ביום השביעי יגלח כל שערו. He has to shave all his head. Shave his head. When he becomes pure, after he grows his hair, then he shaves. What does he shave? All his hair on his head, all hair on his beard, all hair on his eyebrows, Zgano gabot enav, kol saroi galach, everything. And I said, what's the point of this, right? He's already sitting on his own. He's already sitting outside the camp. No one can see him. He's already tameh. And then now when he becomes pure, you have to now shave everything. What's the point of shaving? Everyone is supposed to see that this guy was a mitzvah. You see him now, he's coming out, oh, why are you so bald? Where's your eyebrows? Where's your beard? Where's your hair? Looks so funny, like, you know. Yeah, I was a mitzvah, but he's already done tshuva. He's already come out, he's finished. So it says the Ben Ish Chai, he says that the tumah of a tzarat comes from the tumah of his neshama, from the sin of Lashon Hara. He says, where does Lashon Hara come from? Now this is what I want to talk to you about the emunah, about what you believe in. Kofer ba'ikar. Listen to this idea. He speaks about somebody. Now this guy may have done nothing to me. May have done something to me. I feel maybe I've lost something out. Maybe he's taken a bit from my parnasa. Maybe he's taken my kavod. He took my position. Maybe he sat in my seat in the synagogue. Maybe he took my place at work. Whatever it may be. I feel like he's done something to me. He's taken from me something. And then I go tell people, look what he's done to me. And it could be true. But I feel like he's the one who did it. He said, this is what comes, all the Lashon Hara and bad things. Okay, does that make sense? That's how it starts off, a whole machloket. He does something small, and then you go say, look at what he's done, and then you start talking about it, and it builds up, and it escalates out shit. Gemara tells us, Chachamim, En Adam nogea min hamuchan lechavero afilu kemelo nima. Translation is a person can't touch something which is prepared for someone else, belongs to somebody else, even a hair's breadth. That means if something belongs to you and I deserve it, you can't take it away from me. Now look at it, very interesting. It's the first time I noticed it. What's the word? En Adam nogea. Person can't touch. Nogea is the same letters as nega and oneg, same word. We're saying you can't touch. And even a hair's breadth. What's a hair? Even a hair breadth, what the Matzah shaves. Now listen to this idea. He said, if I would believe that within my emunah, I wouldn't need to say anything about you. What do you mean? You're taking away from me, you take away from people from my minyan, or you're taking my customers away from my shop, or you're taking something away from me. That's why I'm speaking about you. But if I have the emunah that if it's my shop and my customers or my students or my people, you can't take that away from me. I don't need to speak Lashon Hara about you. So that's why it's kofer ba'ikar. Said the Ben Ish Chai, what's hair? Now if you look at a hair, you see someone has hair, it looks like each hair is on top of each other, right? You just see one lump of hair, it's all crowded together. But at the root, each one is independent on its own. It grows separately. Now, when do you see that? When do you see that each hair is independent? Only after you shave, and they're short. Then as they come out, you see the stubble. Now when they're stubble, you see them independently. But when they're growing, they're all together. So what's the message behind here? Says the Ben Ish Chai, this is what you look at your hair. One hair does not touch another hair. Doesn't mean you can't touch it like a hair's breadth. It means this is what I deserve, this is what I'm going to get. This is what you deserve, this is what you're going to get. I can't touch you. Then there's no conflict. You believe in that. There's always mutual respect. There's mutual, each one has their own position, their own space. And he says that if the two hairs would actually touch each other and they would grow from one, he calls it guma. Guma is like the root of where the hair comes out of. Then it would cause damage for a person. A person would lose his sight from his eyes if they would grow together. They have to be separate, each one. So that is the emunah. That is what we believe in. And then maybe this connects to the beginning of the shir, what we said about the Chafetz Chaim. He said that nowadays we don't have tzarat, but we have parnasa. Where does parnasa come into emunah? The person who spoke Lashon Hara, the person who deserved tzarat, he didn't have his emunah, that's why he spoke. But that's got to do with parnasa. How? So he said a story of Chassid. He went to Rabbi Kadosh Miskolin. He said, listen, I've tried everything. Every kind of ishtadlut for parnasa I tried. Okay? I tried working in a business. I tried, I don't know, opening a shop. I tried doing deliveries. I tried minicab. I tried working newspaper. Everything I tried, all the different ishtadlut I tried, nothing is working for me. Obviously, God does not want me to have parnasa. I'm not doing ishtadlut anymore. If he wants to send me parnasa, God will send me parnasa. If he wants me not to, then the Rebbe stopped him. He said, okay, stop. Now you do ishtadlut. Here's what you mean. So until now, what did you believe? You said, I'm going to open a shop, and the shop is going to give me parnasa. I'm going to sell, I don't know, sell coffee. The coffee is going to give me parnasa. Now you believe that only God can send you parnasa. Now you do your ishtadlut. Because that's what parnasa is, a belief. That all my parnasa is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm just doing ishtadlut to try and get it. Once you do that, then the pasuk says, "Berachticha b'chol asher telech, b'chol asher ta'aseh." I will bless you in everything that you do. Whatever you do, doesn't matter what you do, as long as you believe that I'm the one who's providing for you. Berachticha b'chol asher ta'aseh. Everything you do turns to gold, and you see that with your own eyes. You see people that can touch something, it turns into gold. God wants it to succeed. And you see somebody else can touch gold, and it can turn into dust. He will lose it, fall through his fingers. It's what in the yad of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It says the Chafetz Chaim said nowadays we don't have tzarat, but we have parnasa. People can lose their parnasa in different areas. The difficulty parnasa, he said parnasa is the same letters. Pe, resen. Pe is mouth. Resen is a guard, a protector. Okay, the guard on the mouth, where you put for dogs to close their mouth so they don't bark. That's resen.
Muzzle.
Resen. Muzzle. Thank you, Joe. It's a muzzle. You can muzzle on your mouth. Close your mouth, לא מצאתי לגוף טוב אלא שתיקה. And מחלוקת אחת דוחה 100 פרנסות. One מחלוקת, so 100 people can lose פרנסה from one מחלוקת. Everybody suffers from מחלוקת. לשון הרע is דוחה תשובה. Okay, if we've gone late over here, but I have to end off with one story. We give it 2 minutes? Yeah, not 2 minutes. This is fresh from this week. And I say it every year in Parshat Mitzvah. But this has to go down. This is if one thing comes from my shiurim, this is going to be the point. Rabbi Kilati was, at one point I was in his shiur, I was studying from him Torah, he gave a shiur from my house. He used to say, listen, I'm telling you something I didn't see written in any book, okay? But I'm telling you from my own observation in life, okay? This is maybe about, he said 30 different cases, or maybe he said 60, I can't remember. I think he said 30. He said people have the illness of cancer. Look at the analogy between cancer and tzarat. Okay? Tzarat can happen with young people and old people. Healthy people and not healthy people, same. Men, female, and male, it's the same. You see with cancer, doesn't matter, even young people that are healthy, strong body, it doesn't matter. You have different illnesses that only happen in different age group. It says cancerous, you can have a little child who's healthy in that. The similarities. It says when they go to therapy, they go to chemo, they're different rooms. They're excluded, yeshev boded. They lose their hair. Right, chemotherapy, they lose all of their hair. That's very similar to the purification process of a tzara. He said he made this observation, 30 different cases. Every single one of them person who discovered their illness of cancer, they all had some kind of machloket problem, either in the family or at work or in the neighbors. You remember me saying this, Gilad? Yeah, Joe, you remember me saying this?
No.
He said every one of those cases, he saw those people who noticed that they had the machloket problem in the family, they made shalom. Some of them made shalom, because those that made shalom, they got out of the illness. Those who did not make shalom and didn't go, they carried on, and eventually they died from the illness. Now, I'm not going to say any names, but a few months ago, somebody came up to me and he told me, she told me about her sister, what she did to her. She didn't tell me, she just mentioned something about her sister, what she did to her. Yeah. Now, later on, I was in this event, and the sister came to me telling me about the other sister, and she called her words that I couldn't believe she said about her own sister, because you don't even know, you don't want me to know. And I have no idea why they came up to me. We were out of function, yeah. I was like, listen, your sisters, yeah, do shalom. And 2 weeks later, one of them was diagnosed with the illness. Now, I just told my mother-in-law what type of illness she had. There's different degrees. She started crying. He said, I don't know, people have this degree of illness. It's just a matter of time. You need a miracle. She actually started crying, and my mother, she doesn't even know this person. It's a different family. So I called up these two sisters, and I told them what I just shared with you now at Rav Kalati. I said, listen, you have the power to make shalom between you, and you have a chance to save yourself and save your sister. And they made shalom. They became friends. From not talking to each other for a period of I don't know how many weeks or maybe months, they weren't speaking to each other and maybe speaking badly about each other, but they became friends. They spoke together. They said, I forgive you. They went to visit each other. And she had treatment over the past few months. This week, I got a phone call on Sunday telling me, Netanel, thank you for your prayers, and Baruch Hashem, I got good results. It was good news. From the count where it went from something like 100 and something to 8, which is a drastic improvement. And that is nothing short of a miracle. And that was this week. And this week's parasha is Parashat Metzorah. That's the Parashat of the Torah. This is Parashat of Shalom. Okay, so maybe she did something bad. You look at it, but let's look at the whole picture. How long are we here alive for? Look at the Shalom. Think about everything is min hashamayim. What you deserve is what you're going to get. You make Shalom, that's it. You don't need the Tzad anymore. You don't need any illness. A person can become pure from that. I thought that was a miraculous story. And you see God's at the hand of God. You see it in your life. You see it clearly. You look for it and you see it. I just felt I had to share that with you. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the show. And thank you for coming. Wish you a good night. If anybody would like, maybe we'll do a few halachot about Lashon Hara.